Talk about faster and more intense. Welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast, Ahsoka Episode 3 post show. Spoiler alert, we're going to talk about spoilers all about Episode 3, Episode 1, Episode 2. So watch the episode, come back, watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or listen to us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, etc., wherever you're listening to us at. But wow, guys, what a fast episode. What an intense episode. I loved it. I mean, we got the Purgles, we got Jason Sandula. We didn't get confirmation on the ear tips like Josh wanted, but we got the kid. We got the green hair. We got Mon Mothma. What else did we get? Chancellor Mothma.
The Ahsoka spacesuit was sick.
Yeah, Ahsoka spacesuit was pretty cool. Space dual wielding. Yeah. So what did you guys think? What did you think, Craig 5?
Solid third episode. It's pretty cool. It was nice to see Sabine getting the training and really struggling with it. I think a lot of people that were frustrated with seeing that she was Ahsoka's apprentice, and even though she wasn't really force sensitive in Rebels, you know, is somebody getting burglarized? What's happening? Did somebody's mom wake up? What happened?
He's in the same area you are, so there's a big storm, Craig. So.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there's definitely some stuff going on outside. We got a whole hurricane.
I'm
just a little.
Florida, so, are you in the west coast of Florida?
Just a little past Tampa.
Okay.
We're getting it though.
So I think everybody's seeing that Sabine hasn't really any abilities with the Force. I think it's a lot of people feel kind of good about that, because if she's going to struggle, nobody's going to be complaining that it's another Rey situation.
Yeah.
I like that she's at least, you're showing her training. You're showing her actually move towards learning more. She's already been partially trained, and we're seeing the future of how it's going. So I feel like she's already had more on-time screen training than Rey ever did.
Well, could she have had less?
And I do like the reinforcement, and Hu Yang was like, yeah, she is the worst
sucks.
possible candidate to be a Jedi. I like that they're reinforcing that, because they basically said in so many words that she's the least force sensitive person that Hu Yang has encountered. I like that.
I like that.
Hey, Craig. So I don't know if the other guys will probably recognize this, but do you remember the movie Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
I was going to say, was it with Van Damme?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember when the sensei's teaching him how to fight, and he's hitting him with the stick on his hand?
I don't really remember it. That was 40 years ago.
That's why I said, man, it's kind of old, but I caught that feel when Ahsoka was teaching her, and she was walking behind her with a stick, and then she would tap her, and it gave me that feel of the Kickboxer movie, the whole training and stuff like that. It was just, it paid homage to old school stuff. But yeah, I definitely loved that episode, that part of it.
Yeah, it was interesting because she really didn't make any progress in that situation either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the wooden katana with the blaster helmet, harken back to Luke training in episode 4, A New Hope. Yeah, that whole sequence was cool. What were we going to say, Ray?
Well, no, I was just going to say, yeah, the whole sequence with that is just awesome. Seeing it, like you said, paying homage to Luke's training. I did like Yuhang. How do you pronounce it again?
Hu Yang.
Hu Yang.
When he's instead of Hu Dat, it's Hu Yang.
Hu Yang, when he's using his multiple hands to do that, that was pretty cool. I liked it, kind of like
the Goro-esque of it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
Cool. I thought it was a good training scene. I liked it too. And I'm glad they're going to show whatever Sabine's struggles are, and not just magically have her amazing in the Force all of a sudden on a character that we never saw with any ability. So I'm glad. I think it's going to turn out well, however they go with it.
for sure.
Yeah, very General Grievous likes this Facebook user says. So yeah, Maka, our awesome patron, says Jason Moof Milking Sindula. This Facebook user says Senator Ziono is a traitor. I agree.
Yeah.
It is interesting how they're playing a lot in towards of how absolutely stupid the New Republic is. Like, I'm like, dude, you have so many issues going on in the galaxy. It's no wonder that we have a whole first order situation rise up. If you think that you are winning right now, it's like, it's interesting that they're setting all these seeds. I'm like, can someone please just be like, you know what? This is a threat. Like, it hasn't happened once.
Yeah, it mirrors some governments here on Earth. Maka
yes.
says, Hera's little talk to the one senator was cool. I agree. I love the holograms up there all together. Then Hera walking into that room and talking about the previous war, and Hera calling out Ziono. You just watched and waited for whoever was going to win.
That was great.
And I was like, oh man, that was
great.
Huge burn. But yeah, Legacy of Nerd says Jason.
I don't understand how Chancellor Mothma can't say no. You send the fleet.
Yeah,
it's a democracy, Craig.
We saw how that worked out. So Chancellor it up, just like Palpatine did, Mothma.
Yeah, Maka noticed Hu Yang is Grievous 2.0. Legacy Nerd says, I like the comment about Ahsoka's lineage. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Dooku, Yoda.
Yeah, I like that comment. It was cool.
Yeah.
What comment about the unusual Jedi?
Yeah, unusual Jedis. That was cool.
And Zach says, my wife goes, the long list of Jedi she comes from aren't that different, minus Anakin.
Yeah. And I think that's what she's trying to go with, is that she's still wants to train her, even though she knows she's not at that level of being a Jedi.
I like how she reconciled the fact that the Jedi Order never worked. So
Yes.
the rules don't apply to Sabine. I love that concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Maka says, I was expecting him to leave the group FaceTime Senator Ziono just to like do the Homer Simpson back in the bush. Flabs says, not a fan of this show. Oh, I thought he meant our podcast. He's talking about Ahsoka. Flab says, breaking every rule. And he says, you blow up when you get shot down. Kinda. I mean, Ahsoka's ship is pretty large. It's not a typical like one-man fighter size. Those wings are pretty huge. They could probably.
I mean, there's been many times over the years in Clone Wars or Rebels that a ship was not, shot down completely.
And they talked about the percentage of the deflector shields too, so you kind of saw it coming.
Yeah.
And Legacy Nerd says Kanan did the same. He trained Ezra even though his training was incomplete. So yeah, good points.
Did you like the ships in this episode?
Man, that was straight up World War II dogfighting.
I know, right?
One of them looked like Grievous's ship, right?
There was hints of Grievous's ship, yes.
The one that the girl flew, it looked like a Grievous ship.
Yeah, Shin Hati.
Yeah.
And she was also wearing Anakin's Revenge of the Sith headset as well.
Yeah.
And we saw that in the marketing.
We finally heard Morak talking, and there was a name.
Yeah.
Paul somebody or other in the credits.
I believe that's the stunt double that was in the actual suit.
Don't they have to credit somebody if they speak though on IMDb?
Well, I mean, it could be a totally different voice too. I mean, the voice digitized. So I mean, they could still be hiding someone we actually know with a different voice. But interestingly enough, the stunt double that's in the suit when there's saber combat is Henry Cavill's stunt double from Superman.
That's cool. Yeah, I really liked the Ahsoka's suit, or when she goes out into space and that whole bit. Like, I really liked that. I think that was my highlight of the episode.
What did you think she was actually going to do? Did you think she was going to do that, bust out her sabers and like actually deflect the blast?
What I wanted was to her to use the Force and like have her getting screamed at by Sabine and have her like crash two of the ships together. I think that would have been really cool.
I thought she was going to use the Force as well. I didn't think she was going to bust out the sabers. I thought we were going to see like Ahsoka unleashed in a way.
Mm-hmm. That'd have been cool.
It was pretty cool. But it's weird seeing somebody flying around in space and fighting in space too. So
In Star Wars.
yeah, it's kind of you see it in the Clone Wars and the cartoon. It's weird seeing it, you know.
And I was totally expecting the Leia flying. I thought Ahsoka was gonna suck herself in. But no, they used the actual mechanism of the ship to kind of paddle her into the ship.
Yeah, I was wondering if she was going to do that, and I was like, "Oh, what do you know? She didn't actually do that. Great, thank you. Oh my goodness."
So Derpy Entertainment says, and I'm disappointed and disgusted for what just happened. So he's not a fan, or this person is not a fan of the show.
I mean, where you put here 20, 25 minutes in the ship isn't okay.
I thought it was good.
I mean, me too. I mean,
they just weren't in the cockpit. They were in like the training room, and then the floor became their dinner table. I thought that was interesting.
I will say, like, it's kind of a disappointment to me that this episode, with it being only 30 minutes of an episode, takes place, and I feel like a lot less happens in comparative to the last few episodes. And I know that we only have 8 episodes. So if you're going to give me like a 30-minute episode, I'm glad that it was action packed and it went by fast for us. But I just feel like more important events happening would have been great. Whether
I agree with that
was having Thrawn at the end, I can't say. But like, if it's going to be shorter, just give me like a big old like oof, like cliffhanger thing to event to the next. Because all we really get is you have Rey at the end being like, "Hey, go find them." I'm like, okay. And basically setting up that we're getting the hyperdrive ring Halo thing set up. So, and it still has 3 more parts apparently to go. And I'm like, interesting.
Yeah. So let's see what else do other people say. Legacy Nerd says, if Sabine figures out the Force, I feel that would change everything we know about the Force wielders.
Which I'm very happy about, because I am so tired of people being like, I don't like the whole magic grandpa thing, and you just have to come from a lineage of people who are Force sensitive to actually be Force sensitive. I like having people who are like, I didn't really know I was Force sensitive till I got like it was later in life, or like anyone can be a Jedi or anyone can be Force sensitive. That's something I really, really like.
I like that a lot too. And Craig's buddy, Ryan Johnson, I think tried to really establish that aspect in The Last Jedi. And then they kind of swerved away from that a little bit because we all thought that Rey was nobody.
That was my favorite aspect of that movie.
You like something about the movie?
My favorite aspect about it is having that broom kid being able to use the Force only because I could sit there and go, anyone can do it. You don't have to be super special to use it. And that I thought that was a very cool element.
Yeah, because even Ahsoka says the Force is in everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's been around for a bit, you know.
Yeah, Yoda.
And so, you know, as long as the story's done well, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if Sabine learns to use the Force as long as it's done well. And so far, I like it. I think it's, you know, she's struggling. She's not really getting progress. She's frustrated. And, you know, because we know her character already, it would have been weird had she been really good with it all of a sudden.
In comparison to Rey, how do you feel about her and her training with the Force?
Well, so far, I appreciate it much better. I mean, I like Daisy Ridley. I thought Rey was okay as a character, but I just didn't like anything they did with her character. But like as a character, I liked her. You know what I mean? But I like Sabine better, I think, already.
Yeah, because she like went to the table. She's like, "Okay, you won this round." Kind of saying, "I'm gonna try it again next time."
Yeah.
And what like perfect casting. I mean, she looks like a live action Sabine, you know? I mean, and just her acting is just pitch perfect for Sabine live action. And I heard a story actually that when they were casting for Natasha Liu Bordizzo to play Sabine, they basically contacted her and said, "Hey, look, we're not going to do this normally. We just really want you to play this character, so you're pretty much our only pick. So just
That's
come
cool.
in." Yeah, they didn't really do auditions for Sabine. They said we really like you for this role. You seem perfect, and the proof is on screen. I mean, that is Sabine, man. It's so cool that that casting choice was made. And then Legacy of Nerds states have something that I agree with. The episode was 35 minutes long because we got Purgles, and that's super expensive. I agree. The Purgle stuff, the space stuff, the ships,
The
dog
sandworms
fighting.
of Star Wars.
Well, I mean, we have the crate dragons. I mean, those are kind of like the sandworms.
I like to think, well, because we know that Purgles is where we get light speed from, and the Jedi,
and then the worms and Dune give the spice.
well, and travel. So to
Right,
get
right.
around Arrakis, they use the sandworms, and I was like, it's cool that we have something like that in
Right.
Star Wars. I'm really enjoying being back to all these mystical creatures. Hopefully, we get some Loth wolves. That'd be very nice.
I'm pretty sure we'll get that eventually from Filoni. But yeah, the spice as well in Dune is fuel for space travel, for folding space and time, and the Purgles do that themselves. So
I would much rather Star Wars be like a fairy tale and
Yeah.
mystical than political. When it gets political, I'm already like, oh boy. I saw the description. I'm like, oh no, politics. Not again. It can be a little bit political, but what we saw, what it did in episode 1, and trade routes, and try showing a 10-year-old episode 1.
Like everyone's like,
I mean,
I have
honestly,
no idea what's going on.
it's so like it's so ridiculous because it's like investigating trade routes and viceroys and treaties. It's like, what? Like,
So did you like the Clone Wars? Because I feel like the Clone Wars got very political in some of the episodes.
I did like the Clone Wars. But Star Wars as a movie has to be more fantasy and adventure, not politics and sitting around disputing trade routes. Like, that's insane.
I definitely feel like it's something that has been kind of negatively attributed to Star Wars, and where I feel like Star Wars is very unique in that way is that it's a fantasy, but I feel like people are like, oh, it's a science fiction. And anytime I talk to people who don't really or gel with Star Wars or know everything about Star Wars, they go like, oh yeah, it's a futuristic sci-fi movie. And I'm like, well, for me, it's much more of it's like a space opera, and it has a lot of cool fantasy elements. So your wizards, witches, fairies, that kind of stuff. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, that's basically what it is in comparison. Where I would say like Blade Runner is a completely different type of film, where that's like hard sci-fi, all futuristic kind of stuff. This has elements of that on different planets, but it is much more based in wizard, witches, and like medieval fantasy style. And I love that about Star Wars.
Yeah, I do too. And so I'd much rather them go that route than go back into this stuff with the politics. And, I mean, to me, it seems a little silly that you have the chancellor that can't send off some people for a mission. Like, what? What are your hands that tied? We know how Mon Mothma is. She doesn't tolerate any BS.
Yeah, but it's just coming back to kind of, I guess, pointing out that since the democracy, that everything has to be voted on and it has to be voted equally. And if they're not all equal on it, then it can't get done. It's just kind of pointing that out, which kind of sucks.
I think a fun parallel is, I don't know if you've seen Andor, but the comment of like Andor makes where they've just gotten so big and fat and lazy. I'm feeling like it has the seeds of it in this New Republic.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's definitely coming to a head. And yeah, all of the First Order rising up is just based on, oh, well, we don't have to worry about anything. This is peacetime anyway. I'm like,
Yeah, he
'cause
got comfortable.
Had Carrie Fisher not passed away, would she have been chancellor?
Hmm.
I could see.
Because she
Yeah.
was a general. So I don't know if she ever wanted to trade that up in the military wise.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher loved the fact that she was her age and she was starring in a blockbuster. She pointed that out several times. And she loved Star Wars fans. I mean, truly loved them. Went to every celebration she could. And she did panels and interacted with us. And yeah, Craig, I think you're right on. I think she would have jumped at the opportunity to be included and kept on going to celebrations. And
But I think even Leia, like Princess Leia, would have been chancellor.
The only reason I would disagree with that was because the reason why she was having so much of a hard time towards making for the New Republic is because people found out who her dad was.
Right. And that
And-
kind of delves into the book that was written, Bloodline, which focuses directly on the fact that people find out, I guess this is spoilers for the book Bloodline, that people find out that it's Dad Vader for Princess Leia. And then that's the whole controversy. That's the whole basis of that book, which is a canon Disney era Star Wars novel, which I know James has read. James might want to talk about that later. But Legacy and Nerd here also points out a point that I think I agree with. I think the politics of the movies highlighted how genius Palpatine's plan was. I think Star Wars as a whole is really about, and this is the genius of Star Wars, is about humanity and the humanities and our storytelling. And then that involves our politics as well. But I don't mind it if it's sprinkled in. This episode is like a microcosm of how I want Star Wars to be. It was sprinkled in. It wasn't too much. And then you got like the big time action sequences, the cool ships, the cool stuff that we haven't seen before in the spacewalking that Ahsoka did in her suit. And we finally got the live action Purgles. And that's all on a TV show, which costs a lot of money, like the Legacy Nerd pointed out. I mean, this was a very expensive episode.
Yeah.
And the fact that, Palpatine used politics to get into power, I can appreciate that. It's just the way they went about it. It was just too much, particularly for episode 1. We've been waiting 30 years for Star Wars. And this is, we get Style Bibble arguing with, Newt Gunray and Newt Gunray's yelling at a droid. And it's like, what is happening here? Like, with
very interesting accents. Yeah.
It's just, it was too much. Trade routes and like, what? Like, and if you don't believe me, show a 10-year-old episode 1 and watch what they do. They're like, what? I tried to show my 16-year-old niece episode 1, and she's like, I don't understand what's happening.
You're like, neither do I.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't even explain it to you.
Aren't you on a Star Wars podcast, Uncle Craig? Yes, I am.
Yeah. And she's seen my Star Wars collection, and she knows I love Star Wars. And I'm, but it's still, even I can't explain it. Who can explain episode 1?
George, let's get him on the phone right now.
George, I
Craig.
think I may have gone a little bit too off track there.
Oh man. So what rating do you give this episode, guys? Josh?
I'd give it like a 7.
Retro Ray?
I'd give it like an 8.5 because, like I said, I liked everything behind that was going on. The training, of course, seeing the Purgles. So yeah, I give it about 8.5 just because of everything that kind of what we saw.
I'm going to say a 7.5. Solid. Some really good parts, but it wasn't like an amazing episode, but it was solid. But I feel like we got to get somewhere soon.
Yeah, 100%.
No, I think we're going to get left hanging, to be honest with you. I think we're going to get a little bit more episodes like this. And then just like what we got at the end of this episode is what we're going to get. We're just going to get left with us seeing Thrawn or seeing some form that way.
I think I really like this episode, guys, way more than you, everyone here on the panel. Man, I wanna give it like a 9 in the 9 range, but you guys are making me score it lower.
I'm saving my bigger like
I mean,
awesome
come
ones
on,
for
like,
the reveals.
I-
when the
Episode 5,
reveals start happening.
Filoni, bam, 11.10,
Yeah.
11.10269er. Yeah.
I mean, 9 is to me like an episode where like geez, like something in season 2 of Mandalorian was like a 9. Like the Boba Fett episode where Boba Fett helps fight.
The
and,
reintroduction of Boba, yeah, that was
like
that was
that's
iconic instantly.
that's a 9. Like I
Yeah.
can't say it's anywhere close to that.
Yeah, I cheered when I saw the Purgles, when I knew the Purgles were about to show up, because it led up to it. That was the footage we saw in London. Colin got to see it on the big screen where they ride up right next to the Purgle's mouth. But yeah, the whole dogfighting sequence from space to atmosphere was pretty good. The dogfighting, the tail gun portion, Sabine and Ahsoka working together. Yeah,
When was the last time we got a proper dogfight?
episode 4.
It has
But the
been
Falcon stayed stationary somehow and just had the two turrets on the top and bottom fire
It's
with
been a
Luke and
very
Han.
long time since we've gotten a proper dogfight in space. So I really appreciated it
Live
being
action,
back.
yeah.
Yeah, live action wise,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I really appreciated that we're having a dogfight again. I thought that was very fun.
David, did you give your number?
I didn't. I want to say like an 8.7, a little higher than Ray's 8.5.
Wow.
I really liked. From the training of Sabine to the dogfight. I mean, it was almost like a perfect episode for me. As a middle episode of a season. I mean, it's episode 3, directed by Steph Green. Props to Steph Green. She directed the last 2 episodes. She probably directed the best Book of Boba Fett episode in the train heist. That had Boba Fett in the show.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Got to throw in that caveat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked it, guys. And it kept the same pace. It kept the same tempo. And then it got really fast and intense. But Filoni definitely does have his style.
What did y'all think about Hu Yang's the way he was talking? The facts that he was saying, it's kind of weird that he's just, of course he's following protocol. It just the way he states everything, in fact, like it's not what people want to hear, but he's going to tell you anyway.
You suck, Sabine. You suck.
Well, I mean, that's he was programmed that way. That's his job. That's his nature.
I think it's interesting. I'm fine with it.
I still think he does have that great line where it's like you come from a long lineage of non-traditional Jedi. I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
great thing.
I love that too, and that just paves the road for future Force users and saber wielders that aren't Jedi. I like that concept. Josh does too. And it feels like David Tennant is actually going to be a bigger part of this show than I think we originally thought.
Way bigger than we thought.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to buy that figure when it comes out and it's available.
Yeah, he doesn't have
where is Zeb? Zeb's got to be in.
Zeb costs too much, man. I mean, we got 1,000-foot long Purgles in this episode. All CGI.
We got Jason, so I think everyone's gonna get a 1-episode introduction.
Do you think
green hair dye is where they draw the line for this episode.
So is Zeb? Will Zeb be in next week? Do you think?
There hasn't even been a mention of Zeb.
Yeah,
we got. We haven't gotten. We've kind of gotten like allusions to Kanan, but I don't think have we heard anyone say Kanan's name?
No,
I don't think
we still have that thing at the beginning with all the different helmets flashing different colors, and all the bad helmets are red, but his one is blue.
Right.
So,
Tonight we got the blue and the red.
So I'm very like,
And what do we think about Morak? Anybody have Any new thoughts on him now that he's had a couple of lines?
I think we're in the same spot as we were an
Yes.
hour ago.
I still think that it's Ezra.
You think it's Ezra? Yeah, Legacy Nerd says Zeb is hanging with Appa and their X-Wings. Quite possible. Or just at that cantina, the pilot cantina still.
I
Maybe
don't
throwing
see
some
how
darts.
could come back. Why would he be fighting against Ahsoka and Sabine?
Because he got mind flayed, Craig.
Because I think
changed
that
him.
he had a talk with Thrawn over space and time to the point where he's come back and he's trying to bring back Thrawn because he's the only person, because you have to be a force wielder to go back and forth between time, and Thrawn is not a force wielder, especially with using, I think we've been told that like Jedi of old used to use the world between worlds to go from space and time back and forth.
Mhm.
So I think that's what he did, came back and was like, all right, I'm going to explain to you how we're going to go and where Thrawn is to get him back. Because whatever is in that other galaxy is far worse than anything we're dealing with now. And that's why I think that he's going to be a special reveal. It's either that or someone interesting. I know that a lot of people are like, he's the last Inquisitor. And I'm like, does that mean anything special?
So you just sparked an idea in my head, Josh. So what if, yes, okay, that is straight up Ezra as Marok, but he knows what's going to happen in the past and what has to happen in the past, and he has to accomplish his mission for the greater good. So he has to be like a double
exactly what I'm
agent.
thinking.
So Ezra is a double agent right now because he's seen the past and he knows all the events that need to happen in sequence, all the things that have to happen to get to his previous future, which was
That'd be
present.
such a funny like reveal, and people would be like, "What?" Like, I feel like that'd be such a jump the shark moment.
Yeah, because when you look at the saber duel between Marok and Ahsoka, it looks like Marok like held back in a way to me.
Yes.
Like he was almost inexperienced or he was holding back. I mean, kind of weird. That was very weird to me. And I'm surprised a lot of people didn't pick up on that like I did. But
and then also you got to remember, Ezra had a thing for helmets.
Oh yeah.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that he could be either side, because we know how much he has been tempted by each side before. So yeah, I'm interested.
The only Legacy Nerd on YouTube says the only problem with this theory, it's the exact plot of The Flash. Well,
that's too funny.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was solid, but I really would like to see the show moving somewhere soon. You know?
Yeah, I can't wait to hop to that next galaxy because we might see all kinds of crazy things that we've never seen before. And it feels like episode 4, that's not happening. Episode 5, I think, is when it's happening. The Dave Filoni episode, when we finally maybe jump into the world between worlds and we see things. So,
yeah.
Not only that, but I think everybody's been so excited about seeing any kind of flashback with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Rex. And, you know,
would you be okay with a full flashback episode?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I would.
Yes. I think everyone would.
Yeah.
If they went full Clone Wars flashback sequence with like a young Ahsoka, and then we get Anakin, Hayden, and we get
I still
Ewan
think,
as
imagine if
Obi-Wan.
they did like a young Ahsoka, but it's Ashley playing Ahsoka. That would be nuts. Because they did that.
Been rumors that, you know, that one girl from Game of Thrones is going to be in the show as a young Ahsoka.
Yep, there are rumors out there.
I don't know how valid those rumors are, but
yeah, that would play into a flashback in the Clone Wars, and that will be a great moment in Star Wars live action.
And she's good with the sword.
I mean, think about it. Like, if you're going to show a flashback, right, of something that happens before episode 3, what do you want to see? What's one thing? Would you want to see something new or something that maybe we've seen before?
Both. I want it all, Craig. I want the cake and eat it too.
I would love to see something that we've seen before in a flashback, but it's live action, so we've only seen it in animated. And I would also like new things to be placed in.
Like I said, cake and eat it too.
I mean, that'd be great. Absolutely. I mean, the more that we see of the Clone Wars, the better in my book. I would love to see some Rex and stuff, but what would they go with? Like, would they show maybe something with like Anakin and the father and the mother and the daughter?
I think that it's going to be like her training Sabine, being frustrated, and then remembering back to a time where Anakin was frustrated with her. And it would be like her very young, being like all rebellious and stuff and being like, yeah, I used to be like that. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure.
Yeah,
or Force Ghost Anakin.
Give me Force Ghost Anakin. Believe me, that's
that's
nuts.
That's on my internal bingo card right there. But yeah, this Facebook user says the rise of Mace Windu. We all know Samuel L. Jackson wants back in Star Wars. The way you can get him back is through a flashback in Ahsoka. So if anyone knew his schedule during this time, if he was in Lower California, Southern California, Manhattan Beach Studios,
I don't think we're going to see him, only because and I don't think we're going to see Natalie Portman either, because both are like, Natalie's like, I'm open to it, but nobody's approached me. It's like
all lies.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be live.
I mean, Hayden came back. He got such a warm welcome. Hayden was probably called her, texted her, hey, it's here for you if you want it. The fans will love it. They'll eat it up. Yeah.
I think it'd be great. I'd love it. You know?
I think she would too. I'm surprised. She's done signings, but not at conventions. You can buy her autograph, but
through Star Wars Autograph Universe, she's done one signing so far.
Yeah, so I mean, if she does appear in a show, she could do Celebration and just kill. She could probably have the most expensive autograph there.
Well, she already did. It does. It's like $750, and that's for like an 8x10.
Oh
and
my gosh!
Yep.
Oh,
ask me how I know.
I have 10 of them behind me.
Show us the Natalie Portman autograph, Craig.
Huh?
Show us the Natalie Portman autograph you have.
Let's see. I think I have a figure autographed over here, but I have it on my posters too. All right. Let's see here, guys. All right, you ready for this? It's gonna be pretty big.
Like $2,300 for an autograph.
There's my Natalie Portman.
Oh wow!
Sheesh.
Are you ready for this? Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Kylo Ren.
Okay, you got
Carrie. Mark. Jeremy. Kenny. Peter. Harrison. I have a couple of Harrison Fords. Here's another one.
Dang.
And this one is a Yoda signed by everybody. Stuart Freeborn, Frank Oz, all the different people that worked on Yoda. There's like 8 autographs on there.
So that room is like $2.8 million worth.
I could build a 3rd Death Star.
And there's Mark Hamill. You actually have Mark Hamill. The Mark Hamill.
I have Mark Hamill here. Mark, quiet. I told you we're filming an episode of the podcast. He's so rude.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It only costs $50,000 a day, but he's worth it because he does he does dishes, and that I appreciate.
Oh, nice. My wife would love him. All right, guys. So, any final thoughts on episode 3?
Good.
Of
Very
Ahsoka.
excited to see the next episode and see what we're getting into the meat and potatoes. We've set up this planet, so
Yeah. The thing that I
Excited.
would say about these first 3 episodes is how many times are you going to sit down and watch these episodes? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the big thing for me. Like, I could sit down and watch plenty of the episode or season 2 Mandalorian episodes. I love them.
Mhm.
I don't really go back and watch season 3 at all. But how many times am I going to sit down and watch this episode? Not very often. I'll watch it maybe every once in a great while.
Mid-season is next episode, so I feel like there's going to be some big reveal either in the next one or the 5th one because Dave Filoni in the 5th episode.
Well, I
But-
think the 5th one's going to be incredible. I agree with you.
Yeah, next episode they find the door for the world between worlds, the next door or whatever.
Yeah, that would make sense. I'm happy that we're where we're at right now. I know that personally I wouldn't be like, we need to go back and watch these episodes unless in the future episodes we're going to get something that's like mind blowing. And then I could be like, dude, you have to watch all of Ahsoka to get all of this. Like it's such good build up into this amazing episode. So I'm excited.
Do you think this show is going to get a lot of hate? Like Obi-Wan got a lot of hate. Do you think this is going to get a lot of hate or no?
I don't think so because this
Sure.
is in Filoni's hand, and we've already seen his live action stuff, and I think he kind of understands the Star Wars storytelling that works, the new wave of storytelling, and I think that he's getting George Lucas's like. George Lucas is like his confidant in a way. He's probably not even telling people that he's in contact with George Lucas straight up and getting his approval.
I
Yeah,
agree.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ray? Do you think the show is going to get the hate that like Obi-Wan did?
I like it more than Obi-Wan right now.
Well, I mean, for us, I mean, we're gonna like it. We're gonna, give it to what we want. But I feel we're still gonna have that percentage of people who are gonna compare it to Obi-Wan, which it kind of sucks, but we're gonna get that. Not everyone's going to be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Derpy, he's disgusted with it.
Yeah, so it's that catch-22. They should be grateful we're getting stuff like this. We waited so long for stuff like this.
You don't realize how long I waited.
Yeah, so don't get me wrong, I understand, we want certain things, but hey, be grateful we got this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's some form of what we want, but we don't always get what we want, kind of that.
Sometimes you get Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And it's something that you hate.
It's funny because I think that Ahsoka is a beast titan of a show comparatively, also with Obi-Wan, but we had been waiting for like an Obi-Wan thing for so long, and then when we got it, I feel like a lot of it couldn't meet the expectation of what people had wanted for so long.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also partly with Ahsoka is what we have right now. It's like, hey, this isn't meeting my expectation, but it's like, dude, you've been having expectations for years, and some of it is definitely unrealistic. I feel like it was much more unrealistic when it came to Obi-Wan because you're dealing with like Vader coming back. We're gonna have Vader on screen, have Obi-Wan on screen, and have all this stuff, and like the hype was real, and it was only like 6 episodes. It's like, how much story could you tell in that time? Whereas in comparison to Ahsoka, we're getting 8 episodes. It's a fan favorite character. I feel like there's a lot less backlash for this than there was for Obi-Wan right now. So I'm hoping that we get everything we need to make this a lasting series where I can look back at it and go, that was a good, worthy show that is worthy to be a part of the greats in the Star Wars series.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm going to be there. I agree with you. I'm going to say the same thing. I just feel we're going to get that percentage of fans that don't,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Ahsoka overall, I mean, like I said, us fans from Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, we're getting what we want because we, you know what I mean? We're, we've read and then if you read the novels of Thrawn and the Ahsoka, you kind of see little things. So it means more to us than people who are just watching because they watch Mandalorian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's probably going to be a lot of time in between TV shows because the Skeleton Crew TV show is apparently going to be pushed back into next year, and we were supposed to get it in the late fall around Thanksgiving time, and I think it's due to the strikes. So yeah, we need to kind of soak in and smell the roses here with Ahsoka that we're getting this, and there might be a little bit of a drought. I think Acolyte will be another huge, I think, anticipatory series. And
I would only say no because it doesn't have a face character on it. See, that's the thing.
if they release that trailer though that we saw in
trailer,
London,
yeah,
Josh,
but that will expire like a whole bunch of hype. But it's not like it is weighing on anything. I feel like the expectation of just one character can absolutely destroy like a show because of so much expectation. You put Ahsoka in that title, you put Obi-Wan in that title, it's like, I have expectation. This is my character. Don't mess them up. Whereas if I say like Star Wars Acolyte, I'm like, I don't really have a character where I'm like, I need this person to be correct. I have Star Wars and I want Star Wars to feel correct.
right? But let me point this out though. What if they in the marketing we see as the stinger at the end of whatever trailer they release to the public, we pan
Young
down,
Yoda.
we see the Jedi ignite their sabers, and then the camera pans down and it's Yoda holding his little green saber. And then it ends right there.
I don't think it would be okay. It's not the title of the show.
Right.
If it was Yoda the series, I'd be like, okay, you have to get him right. Like, but I feel like, yeah, Skeleton Crew and Acolyte are in a good place, like where it's characters that we don't really know. And I feel like they can do a lot of new fun things with that. Which a funny thing is, it also has the opposite effect, is because I don't think anyone thought that Andor was going to be amazing. Because I remember when they had said Andor was going to be a show, and I said, why that character? Like, why does he deserve a show? However, when I watched Andor, I was definitely like blown away in comparison, because I don't know if it was that my expectations were so low for this series, but I definitely hit and I was like, wow, this is great. I love this type of Star Wars. So it's one of those things where I'm like, put a big name in the title and you have a lot of expectation.
Now, Acolyte, I think it's going to give us new characters to like and fall in love with that
100%.
We don't know about. I think that's what we're going to get with that.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that is our post show.
Everything today.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I want to give a shout out to all of our awesome patrons. On the purple tier, we have Chris Simpson, Kevin Leininger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel. On the red tier, we have Fenrir526, Maya Morris. On the black tier, we have Maka Talatala, Nathan Shank, Evan Opaker, Liam McCallion, and Texas Vader 76. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube,
to the Patreon supporters, thank you so much, and please consider being a Patreon member, because David has promised us snacks, but he says he doesn't have the budget for it. I really would like a nice box of goldfish to snack on while I'm watching.
Craig, you sell one of those autographs, and you'll have like a lifetime supply of goldfish. So we're also on Instagram at Star Stuff Podcast.
Those things are going to be buried with me.
It's going to be a huge casket. So also you can find us on X, formerly Twitter at Stuff Pod. Threads, you can find Josh, Star Stuff Podcast. Patreon.
Frozen in carbonite.
I'm just imagining you in a casket, like right next to that giant Luke.
It's gonna be in carbonite, and I'm gonna have a museum of Star Wars stuff for people
That'd
to
be cool.
visit.
You become the collectible. Perfect.
Join the collection.
They would have to somehow take the room you're in and turn that into a mausoleum coffin type situation.
No, they can take this stuff and transport it, make a nice toy museum, and just put me in carbonite. That's all I ask.
This is the owner right here.
For $5, you can lower me up and down to the carbonite chamber.
You know, put a Ugnaught mask on and like hit some buttons. And of course, like Craig 5 alluded to, we are on Patreon. We have Patreon exclusive content. We're uploading every single day, something different, something new. Commentaries from Clone Wars, commentaries from Rebels. We have Patreon daily episodes where we talk about all the latest news. It's usually me and James, James, Colin, sometimes Craig, sometimes Ray. And we also, what else we have on there? We've done an unbox. I've done a couple of unboxings. We're gonna do more of those as we get in stuff, and we might actually get some stuff sooner than later. So we also on TikTok. You can find us there. You can contact the podcast at starstuffpodcast@gmail.com. Also Facebook. Go check out the page. Check out the group we have. It's a lot of fun. A lot of memes flying around. Breaking news. We post it there as well. Also, go to Apple and Spotify. Give us 5 stars. That'd be awesome. A lot of interesting reviews lately, but write a great review about us. The positive. We want positive reviews. But if you have negative reviews, I guess if you really want to write about it, it's interesting, and yeah, it might help out the podcast. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Come on. We're worth it. We're working hard over here.
And also, we have a website. So it's starwarstuffpodcast.com. We have a few articles. You can read all of our bios. Craig and Retro Ray just joined the podcast. We'll have their bios up soon, so you can read all about them. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And all the listens on all the audio apps have been fantastic. And for Josh, Retro Ray, Craig 5, my name is David, and may the force be with you.